Hello. Welcome to Candid Career Conversations, a monthly webinar series hosted by the Point Park University Professional Career Readiness Center. My name is Jessica, and I'm the Director of Career Readiness at Point Park. I will also serve as your moderator for today's discussion. Today, we will be discussing two important and timely topics. First, the importance of attending career-related programming such as career fairs. And secondly, those tips and tricks that you need to best prepare for your success. This webinar is hosted by the Point Park University Professional Career Readiness Center. The Professional Career Readiness Center provides programs and services to enhance student success by providing opportunities to achieve career readiness, increase knowledge of career pathways, and connect to experiential learning opportunities such as internships and co-ops. The center also helps students in developing professional skills, as well as connecting to meaningful employment through strategic partnerships and targeted events. During today's discussion, we will discuss the importance of attending career fairs, the benefits of participation, tips for preparation, and ways to maximize upon these events for your career advancement. And today we are joined by Charisse Alexander, Talent Acquisition Coordinator at WESCO Distribution. Charisse, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Jess. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's just jump right into it. You know, right now is a very heavy time for employers to spend a lot of their time on campus, recruiting students, participating in these career fairs. For those students who may be completely new to the university setting and maybe have never gone to one of these events before, could you tell us, what is a career fair and what are the benefits of attending these?
Sure. So a job fair, aka also known as a career fair, is a networking platform where individuals can go to meet with companies and recruiters there, hiring managers, and receive information about potential job opportunities that they may have. Also, it's a chance for them to actually build their network and actually meet with so many different people from different companies and see what their companies have to offer them after graduation for internships or anything like that type of nature. Definitely a great experience. If you haven't ever been to one, I would definitely suggest going just for getting your foot in the door, especially right out of college.
And, a lot of students often think about, it's such an intimidating environment for them, thinking about going into the room, you're talking to employers for the first time, what do they expect, so help students to understand, what should they expect to experience at these career fairs. And now we have to keep in mind also, now we're thinking about two types, these in-person career fairs and then this new virtual space as well.
Yep. So everyone thinks when you think of a career fair, you automatically get nervous, right? You're like, okay, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm only a junior, sophomore in college. Like, I don't have too much professional experience. What am I supposed to do once I get there? So whenever you get to a career fair, job fair, you definitely want to, be personable. Go up to the employers, tell them about yourself. You're going to meet with a million different managers and recruiters and different people throughout the company. Talk with them about your background. Talk about your career aspirations. What do you want to do? What are your goals? Give them something to know about you. They don't know you. They already work for the company. They want to know about you. They want to know how you'll fit in with their department, within their company, with the jobs that they're hiring for. So go in there with a clear mind. Again, be very personable. Tell them all about yourself. And then also, give them that information like in 10 years, I want to look at myself, I want to be here, compared to that way they know, like, okay, our company offers a lot of growth. Like, how can we benefit them as well as they can benefit us?
And so, as students are navigating these career fairs, and you're visiting all of these employer booths, what types of questions can they expect from employers? What types of, you mentioned employers want to know a little bit more about you. What specific information is it important for them to really relay to these employers?
So the first question that everyone asks, and I think for myself, when I was in college, I feel like it was kind of like a scary question, is tell me a little bit about yourself, right? Because you don't have a lot of experience as a college student. You're like, well, I took this class, I did this. Yeah. They want to know about like the leadership roles you played in. What did you do in college? Did you work while you were in college? Were you a part of a team? Tell them a little bit about yourself that way, because they know you guys don't have really too many professional experiences. Also, they also ask, like, what type of positions are you looking for? So say you're a supply chain major, right? Are you looking for positions in supply chain? Are you a finance major? Do you want to do tax? Do you want to do finances? Do you want to be in accounting? So just have those answers, like, what do you want to do with your career? Tell them about, the stuff that everything they're going to ask you is based upon you and what you want to do. If you give them all that information up front, they're like, wow, this person, this candidate's everything. Like, they know what they want to do. They know about my company. They know, like, what positions I have to offer. They want to see that type of thing.
I'm pretty sure tell me about yourself is the first question I asked you many years ago.
Yes. It's like, oh, here we go. I don't know. You start sweating and it's just not fun.
And so with these virtual career fairs, a lot of times students stress about, I'm not necessarily in a physical space with an employer anymore. I can't read their body language as easily. I might be sitting at home, what should they expect and how can they prepare? I think about, I'm sitting in my office right now, but if I'm sitting in my bedroom, right, what can I do to be successful and to help meet those employer expectations?
So same thing for virtual and in person at a career fair. Always, whenever you go to a career fair, research the companies that are going to be there. You don't want to go in there blindsided. You don't want the company, you don't want to walk up to a representative for a company and say, well, tell me about your company. Well, you came here, so you don't know about me. That always leaves that question mark, right? So research the companies. Every school gives a list of different companies that are going to be there, who's sponsoring the program. Read up on them, see what opportunities they have for entry-level candidates like yourself. For students, a lot of companies have programs for just students in general. So definitely, before that's in virtual or in person, research the companies, learn about them, and view their open positions. See what they're hiring for, but also be in a comfortable setting, but not too comfortable, right? So if you're virtual, you don't want to be laying in your bed, right? You still want to have your camera on. You want to be in a quiet space with a plain background. You don't want too much noise going around, because you don't want the recruiter or the hiring manager to be looking in your background like, wait, what's going on over there? So you definitely want to be in a calm, collective space. Definitely just have it super quiet. And then also, you just want to make sure, like, you have your resumes, you know what's on your resume, and have your portfolio ready. So if you have pieces of information that you used in school or that you've created or anything like that, you want to make sure that you have that information there handy, so you're able to show them and share your experiences with them as well, just as if you were in person.
And, you mentioned something that's very important, having a resume. I think back to my time as in campus recruitment, and it's tough for me to have a conversation with you if I don't have your resume to look at, if I can't make notes on your resume, right? So it's so important to have your resume, and it's so important to have that resume that is in a layout that's so easy for someone to read quickly. What tips do you have to really help students make sure that they are presenting quality documents to employers during these events, whether it's a resume, a portfolio, whatever? What tips do you have to help them make sure that it's truly top-notch?
So I like to always say, for me, for an example, especially when you're at career fairs, you're meeting so many different people. As a recruiter on our end, we meet so many different people. So when we're looking at resumes, we look at them for like 30 seconds and we got to be able to like grasp something like quick. So I like to tell people, like, do not overflood your resume with wordy information. You're able to get the point clear, cut, and dry across with less words. And it makes it way easier for the reader to understand, makes them able to like really visualize what you've done in that role as well. So I definitely think, with the resume, you want to have your experience on there. Don't get me wrong. Yes, but you want to watch the wordiness of your experience as well. So that's what I like to say. And same thing with like a portfolio, like you want your portfolio to be clean, cut, and dry. Like, you want them to look at a sample of your writing. Like, you want your writing to be specific and you want it to be detailed, but you don't want it to be too jumbled or too messy for anyone to get thrown off track.
And I think you really touched upon something that oftentimes people struggle with, even professionals that are many years removed from school. And that is being wordy, right? Because so many of us love to use the, fancy sounding words, right? Or
Mhm.
the, the word that we think is going to make us sound as educated. And to a recruiter, they could just end up looking at a document that they almost need a dictionary to read.
Right.
And to your point, that's such a thin line to cross between using, industry terminology and then just, you're like your resume is a dictionary essentially. And so great tip there to really watch that wordiness while you're still promoting yourself and promoting your skills, and using those key terms that we know employers are really looking for.
Right. Agreed.
So, jumping back a little bit, one of my favorite things to tell students is none of us, including me, wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh, I can't wait to go meet a bunch of strangers today," right? So I don't expect them to walk into a career fair and jump for joy at the idea of going to talk to a bunch of people who they've never met before. And as we talked about earlier, career fairs can really be intimidating. So we hear oftentimes, that there's a technique that students can use to help, really sell themselves to employers or really answer that question of tell me about yourself and to ease their way into that conversation. And that really is that elevator pitch. So as someone in recruitment, talk to me a bit about the importance of someone having a structured elevator pitch, to really make sure that they're delivering the appropriate information to the employer in a timely fashion.
Yeah. So the elevator pitch is like, it's so beneficial for college students because you get nervous, right? You start rambling, you go off track, and now you're thinking like this has nothing to do with what I'm actually trying to get across. So practicing your elevator pitch is almost as important as actually having an elevator pitch. So the elevator pitch is something where it gives someone like about 30 seconds to maybe to give someone like a brief overview of what about their experience, what they want to do, and what is their goals, right? So it's very quick, but it's actually very structured as well, and it touches on those key points of what you want someone else to know about you. So practicing this, I think, is more so the overall grand picture here. I think that when you practice the elevator pitch, it actually comes off better each time. So by the time you actually get in front of the recruiter or the hiring manager, you're able, when they ask me, like, tell me about yourself, you're like, I did this, I'm this, I want to do this is where I'm at. And it's like perfect. So I think with the elevator pitch is really like, it's the best because every table that you go to, someone's going to tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about yourself. That's going to be the first thing because you're meeting strangers, right? So they don't know anything about you. You don't know anything about them. So that starts the conversation and then it keeps going from there. So I think that just having that is also like an introductory. Like you can just walk up to someone at a booth and just say, "Hi, my name is Charisse Alexander. This is about me, and here's my resume. I did X, Y, Z." And they're like, "Oh, okay, Charisse, tell me about, looking at your resume, you touched based on this. Tell me a little bit more about that." And then you can go into detail when they ask you more questions about your actual experience and they have that resume in your hand. But that gives them the first like, "Oh, okay, hi, nice to meet you." And then they'll go over your resume and then I'm like, "Oh, okay, tell me a little bit about what you did here. What are you looking for? What are you seeking? When do you graduate?" Things like that.
And I think about, I always tell students there are several pieces of information that, thinking back to my days in campus recruitment, if I was at an event talking to 200 students a day, which it happens to a lot of these people,
Yes, me.
information you need, right? I need to know your name. I need to know your major. I need to know your graduation date. And I need to know what your career goal is and why you're talking to me, right? So if, someone says, "I'm Jessica, I'm a human resources major. I graduate December of 2021. I'm looking to hopefully get my foot in the door with your organization through your internship program." If I'm a recruiter, that tells me everything I need to know, from how early I can hire you, what department you may fit into, as well as why exactly are you here? Why are you talking to me right now? What am I going to do with your resume? And it's so important for folks to have that structured elevator pitch because, as you mentioned, once you're talking to a recruiter, I mean, first of all, career fairs, normally there's like hundreds of other people around you having the same conversation. It's so loud. It's so easy to become distracted and to get off track. And the next thing you know, it's 5 minutes later and you've relayed nothing about yourself.
Yep. Nothing came across. And that's another thing too. Like there's a bunch of people next to you when you're in person at a career fair. So you may be hearing what they're talking about and it's throwing your mind, and now you're trying to remember your elevator pitch, and it's like, no, let me stick to the basics. This is my major. This is when I graduate. I'm actually trying to obtain a internship. I'm a sophomore. Am I able to get one now? Do I have to wait until my junior year? Like, you need to stay on focus. And that's why I say practice so much with your elevator pitch, because that way you're not disrupted by anything else that's going on in your nerves as well.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a bit about, let's say I visit that employer table. I give them my perfect elevator pitch and I give them my resume. And they say, I think you should apply to this position. Here's my business card. Tell me whenever you do, right? Oftentimes, sometimes, I shouldn't say often, sometimes employers are gracious enough to give follow-up instructions, and maybe even a business card. What should someone do with that information, and how soon should they act upon those instructions?
Yeah. So you go to a career fair, you get 1,000 business cards, right? Now, like, okay, I really want to look into WESCO. I really want to look into all these other companies. Let me follow back up with Charisse, who I met at the career fair. Great. I gave you my business card. Email me. Give me something that we talked about so I can be like, oh yeah, I do remember Susie from, she did this. She's an HR major. She's looking to get into our internship program. Like, she wants to begin, this summer. She's a junior. She'll be a senior. So follow up with them. Send them an email the next day like, hi, Charisse, this is Susie. Tell me something that we touched base on. Bring back that conversation. Tell me something like, yeah, on my resume, I was the leader of my sorority, and I done this and that, and I've helped recruit for our professional career development program team, and I did different things like that. Let them know. So it's like, oh yeah, I do remember her. I do have her resume right here. Let me forward it over to the right person so that now I can do it. And I also say too, is follow them on LinkedIn. Let them know you're still interested. Let them know, you can message them on there too. Like, hi Charisse, thanks for the connection. It was great meeting with you yesterday at the Point Park career fair. That way they're like, okay, this lady, she really wants this position. She knows about the company. This is where she wants to be. This is her number one pick. Let me make sure that, I can get her in front of a hiring manager to do a face-to-face interview.
And, it's so important to make that connection with someone. And whenever you do make that connection, to really follow up on it and nurture that relationship, because you never know if that person that's attending that fair is the actual hiring manager. You never know how they can influence your application. I've had people that I met at workshops that ended up, hiring me one day, and I've done the same with other people. And so, it's so important that you follow up with those relationships, and you foster those relationships so that you can actually keep that relationship going. You can continue to advance your career with that person, because again, that's the reason why you were there in the first place.
Right. And I always like to bring in LinkedIn as well, just because if you guys don't talk every day, or you may see them post something in 6 months, you can comment on it. You can see what they're doing, what they're up to, if they're looking for more people. Like, it's nice to have that connection as well, because that keeps your network growing as a college individual coming into the workforce directly out of school.
Well, and as we prepare to wrap up this discussion, what are some of your biggest do's and don'ts for career fairs? We all hear great success stories, and then sometimes we even hear horror stories sometimes as well. So what are some of your biggest do's and some of your biggest don'ts as folks prepare for career fairs?
So my biggest don't is do not be shy. Come ready to learn, eager to learn, and to meet people. This is your career, this is your life. You want to build your network, and you also want to be able to communicate. You want to be personable. You want to let the employers know that, like, I can do this. I'm built for this. Do not be shy. I know for me personally, when I was in college, I remember how shy I was. Like, I don't want to go up to them. I'm scared. That's not the way to do things. You want to be personal. They want you to walk over to them and come over and talk to them. They want to see that you're like, okay, they're able to communicate. They're able to just talk with random people. You will do that in your day-to-day life at a job. So do not be shy. And I would say, make sure that you're my other don't, I'm sorry, is make sure you're dressed professionally. Just don't come in there with the sweatpants and the t-shirts and the point part gear. You don't want that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You want to be dressed business professionally. You want to have a full suit on, women and men. First impressions are everything. And of course they do stay with you forever. So always, keep that in your minds, but dudes, just make sure you have that, you're able to communicate well, that proper etiquette, handshakes, firm handshakes, look them in the eye. Again, first impression is everything. This is all that they have from you. They don't know you. So you always want to come off and make sure that you have that proper etiquette, anything like that. And then also just, be prepared for the questions that they may ask you. Like, are you willing to relocate? And be honest with these answers. Like, if that's not something you're interested in, let them know. Like, no, that's not. They're thinking in the back of their head, like, okay, I can probably put them in California. They're just trying to, determine the different, what you're willing to do and where they can place you at within their company. So, make sure that you are receptive to this type of thing. And then also make sure that you're able to communicate effectively. That's the biggest thing for me for a career fair.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that was most difficult for me to learn personally as I was going through undergrad was the buddy system, right? So there's a time to be with your friends and to navigate in a group, and there's a time that you really shouldn't. And those career fairs, it's maybe your freshman year, or your first one when you're not really looking for jobs, you're just going to experience it. It's okay to have someone by your side. But when you're pitching yourself to that employer, they're going to look at your friend like, why are you standing at this person's side right now? What's going on here? And so being confident in yourself and being able to kind of navigate independently as well is something that's so necessary at these career fairs, because again, it's something that you're going to have to do throughout your career. And then I can't say this enough, as you mentioned, be prepared. I can't tell you how many times someone will say, can you make copies of my resume? No, I can't, right? Let's, bring more than you think you will ever need. I love nature. I try to be as conservative as possible, but when it comes to interviews and career fairs and such, I print out way more than I need, because you just never know if someone's going to ask you for extras, and you never want to not have enough.
That's the most embarrassing feeling.
Oh yeah.
I've seen people like, well, I only have one left, and it's like
you and one other recruiter, and they're like, I only have one left, and then you're sharing one with your colleague. It's not something that we want.
Yep.
Well, I've been asking everyone a personal question as a part of these Candid Career Conversations as well. So I would like to know, a big focus here at Point Park is experiential learning, internships, co-ops, getting hands-on experience before graduation. So could you talk a little bit about any experience you may have gotten before graduation and how that benefited your career?
It benefited me so much, and this is actually real. So I got my internship, I got it with UPMC in their TA department, in their workforce development and campus programs teams. And it was like a rude awakening just walking in there, because you think you have like what it takes, like, oh, I'm like about to graduate college, like I know what I'm doing. It is so different than school. Like the real world in school, college is not the same. So it was very nice. Like I was like scared. I thought I was good with talking to people and my communication skills were great. Like they were okay. Like they were nothing like how I imagined. And it was really good. Like I was able to come in there and just grow as a professional so much more. So I highly suggest it to anyone. It was nice to have like a schedule, a calendar. Like you're really going off of this. You have to be here at this time. You have to do this. You have to sit through these meetings. You have to take notes in the meetings. I had no idea about this. I was like, well, I need a notepad. Okay. Like it was it was a really great experience for me. And I mean, I ended up going back the next year as well. It was great. It gave me that professional experience. So when I graduated college and I walked into my first corporate environment, like, I've done this before. I was ready for it. I was able to take it on, compared to if I would have never did that, I would have walked in there like a 15-year-old confused about life. So it's definitely a great experience. I think just in general, I would recommend it 100%. There's no way I could be where I am right now without that experience at all.
Well, and I think what's so great about what happens at a lot of institutions now is that there is opportunity for students to get these wonderful experiences while they are still working toward graduation. And so it's the best of all worlds, because the goal really is, I always tell people, my goal for them is for you to get a job before graduation, if not before, shortly after. And we want to try to make folks as competitive as possible entering into the real world. And as you know, it involves, what you do while you're at the institution and getting that hands-on experience as early as possible as well. So thank you for that insight.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, Charisse, well, it's good to see you as always. Thank you so much for joining us today. And this information, I hope, is helpful to everyone as we approach the region's largest collegiate career fair, WESPACS, which is coming up on October 21st. So students, please make sure you check Handshake for those event details. There's typically over 80 employers that attend. This is a free event for you to attend, and it's a virtual event this year. So just like Charisse said, you can kind of sit at home, you can participate in this virtual fair as long as you're dressed professionally and you have a professional background behind you as well. So again, we hope you found this discussion helpful as you begin to prepare for career fair participation. And I'd like to remind you that the Professional Career Readiness Center here at Point Park is here to help you as early as freshman year and long after graduation. So please connect with us on social media so that you can stay up to date on all of our programs, giveaways, events, and such. You can follow us on Instagram at PPU Careers. You can follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and connect with us on YouTube as well. We do post tutorials as well as videos and such for you to really look at and take advantage of on YouTube. So again, please follow us. I am asked to always remind you that we do not follow you back. So we're not looking to cyber stalk you. We want you to have the information at your fingertips so that you can advance your careers. So thank you again for attending this month's Candid Career Conversation. We hope to see you at our next webinar. And again, be sure to keep an eye out on social media and in your email for additional information. Thank you.